Hello, everyone. This is Jefferson Hendricks of the Robinson Film Center and Centenary College of Louisiana. Today, we are going to be looking at another science fiction film, a film that fits into the theme of the fantastic, which we in Film 101 are going to be presenting to you over the next few weeks while everyone is practicing social distancing. The film today is Jonathan Glazer's film from 2013 entitled Under the Skin. It's a film that stars Scarlett Johansson as an alien who has come to Earth for a mission that we're not quite sure about. But what she does do is, in the guise of an Earthling, she drives around Glasgow, Scotland, where she has landed, and she picks up young men. She essentially seduces them back to her apartment where they have a rather unworldly experience, one that is not exactly what they imagined might happen. I'm going to stop there and let you experience it if you so desire. And let me say a little bit about the film. It's a very strange film for most people in that it is not conventional science fiction, not the science fiction of Star Wars that most people might be imagining. This is very thoughtful art cinema science fiction. I think the best way to approach the film may be through a concept that a very well-known science fiction critical historical writer named Darko Suvin has constructed, a phrase entitled cognitive estrangement. Suvin, one of the great critics of science fiction, says that for him, at the core of really good science fiction is this notion that the world is constructed by scientific principles, but that there is something in that world that causes us to experience it, to think about it differently. And so while we are rational and thinking about and understand that there are laws to the universe, there are also strange things that come along that estrange us, that alienate us from that rational way of thinking. You might say that COVID-19 is doing that to us right now. Many of us feel like we are living in a rather strange science fictional film. But it does give us the opportunity to stay at home and to see films that maybe we haven't seen for a while, or maybe we would see for the first time. So think about this as a possibility. Under the Skin is a slow film for those of you that want immediate escapist action with lots of science fictional firefights, with laser beams, etc. This is not your film. But if you are interested in experiencing a film that will both make you think and feel, this is a film that you ought to take a chance on. Critics have loved the film. Many of the people who have seen the film have not liked it necessarily. Some people love it. It is very much a film where the dividing line is not very gray. You tend to either really like it or maybe you don't. Some things to think about. The film starts immediately with a question, and in fact the whole film poses a series of questions. It might remind you of 2001 by Kubrick. And in fact, if there's one director that I think Jonathan Glazer, the director of Under the Skin, is in the vein of, I think it's Stanley Kubrick and his science fictional films. So I think from that opening scene where we're not quite sure what is happening, we hear this very intense music by composer Mica Levi, which I think is haunting and a little bit horrifying at the same time. It certainly, to use this phrase again, is estranging. It is alienating. We are not feeling comfortable. We are certainly not in Kansas anymore with this film. Instead, we are going with Scarlett Johansson through the streets of Glasgow. And we see the film through her point of view as she drives around and picks up these young men, taking them back to some final destination that you'll have to figure out for yourself. Now, what is Glazer's point here? I think the whole point of the film is that he is trying to get us to see and to feel the world as Scarlett Johansson's character, that is, as an alien, feels and sees this new world. One of the underlying themes is that, and it raises the question, does she become a little bit more human? Does she, through her interactions with human beings, does she herself begin to understand them? The film, I think, leaves that somewhat open. You'll have to figure that out for yourself. Let me say that finally, this is a film that's challenging. I find it mesmerizing, though some people might find it a little too confusing and at times a little too slow. But if you're up for something that's very different, for something that will challenge your notion of what science fiction might be, then give it a chance. I'd also recommend not just the film, but the novel, which is quite different from the film. The original source novel, Under the Skin, written by the Dutch-Scottish writer Michel Faber, is a wonderful, wonderful science fiction novel. But it's very, very different than the film. I think the film captures the essential alienness of this creature who is on Earth for a mission that's unclear in the film, much clearer in the novel, but I'll leave that for you to find out. So, hope you enjoy the film. Hope you get a chance to see it. I think it's just as powerful as Pan's Labyrinth, though not as emotionally open and humanistic in quite the same way. Still, if you find it interesting, love to talk to you about it sometime. So have fun. And this is Jefferson Hendricks saying goodbye and hope to see you next week.